Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Last week, I reviewed C.H.U.D, a cult classic from the 1980s. And, as I mentioned before, 5 years later, a movie came out called C.H.U.D 2. What a coincidence! It has to be mere coincidence. C.H.U.D 2 has nothing whatsoever to do with the original. The writers, directors, actors, and monsters in this straight-to-VHS sequel are completely different. Differences in plot and setting I can understand. You want a sequel to stand apart from the original, but the only thing in C.H.U.D 2 that existed in C.H.U.D 1 is the word C.H.U.D. So what is C.H.U.D 2, you ask? Well, we get a group of teenagers getting caught in a series of zany antics as Bud the C.H.U.D, who is honestly just an alternate zombie, unleashes a zombie apocalypse on a small town in horror comedy fashion. Just like the first one, right? Anyway, let's dig into C.H.U.D 2 and see just what the fuck they were thinking. The film opens up with a long shot of a doctor walking down several corridors, waiting out the opening credits on his way to euthanize a man.
Come on, Mr. Oliver. It's dinner time.
You don't want to miss your last meal, do you?
But to be fair, he does give him every opportunity to escape. No restraints, no guards. The termination of the C.H.U.D program is highly upsetting Colonel Masters, played by Robert Vaughn.
Had the C.H.U.D research continued, we could have had the ultimate in biochemical warfare. An enzyme that would allow soldiers to go on fighting even after they were clinically dead.
Considering both meanings of C.H.U.D make no sense in this movie, I'm certain you're wondering just what C.H.U.D means. Simple. Fucking zombies.
There was a reason that these creatures were kept underground.
Because otherwise the U in C.H.U.D is even more pointless?
For instance, the little matter of the drug's cannibalistic side effects.
Side effects my ass! It's the first letter of the acronym! Without that, or the U, you're just left with humanoid dwellers. Really intimidating. Right on cue, the last zombie escapes, so the suits use their magic points to cast freeze on it, recapturing the creature with relative ease. So now all they have to do is kill it, and that's that. Now, that wouldn't be incredibly stupid.
Now, in the meantime, we have to get our Sleeping Beauty back there in Limbo to the Winter Haven Center for Disease Control.
Because with all the doctors and experimental equipment in that building, there's no way they could properly contain a zombie. No. Ship it off to the nearest small town. But oh joy! Now we get to meet the real stars of this movie. Steve, Kevin, and Katie, played by Brian Robbins, Bill Calvert, and Tricia Leigh Fisher, respectively.
Here today, I will demonstrate the essential symbiosis.
Symbiosis.
Oh, fire. I noticed. Don't do that, don't. Everybody out.
In case you haven't figured out their tropes yet, Kevin is the brain, Steve is the fucking idiot, and Katie is the girl. This complete accident lands Steve and Kevin a punishment sorting the test subjects in their incredibly large high school stockroom, while Katie, who is just about as guilty as Kevin in this ordeal, evidently got off scot-free. Before long, they find the cadaver their teacher plans to have them examine tomorrow, and Steve is sure to be a jackass.
Code blue, don't do that.
The fuck? Did he hit the nitro on that gurney or something? They run after the Formula One corpse, which gets a convenient boost downhill, and after only chasing it for 23 seconds, they decide it's far too much work, and there's a much easier alternative to exercise.
We can find a replacement.
I hope Steve is volunteering. Instead of heading to the morgue, or the funeral home the corpse came from in the first place, they decide that the Center for Disease Control is the safest place they could rustle up a body by far. And they might have been onto something, as they face no resistance at all, easily finding the frozen zombie, and even driving it back home without anyone noticing.
I brought Kevin home to help me study.
Oh, Kevin! Come on in.
You keep them busy. I'll take you into the basement.
Goody. Stealing the body was too serious. We need a zany scene to spice things up. But their plan runs into trouble when Steve's path is blocked by a French poodle. Truly the most ferocious animal known to man. Unable to overcome that obstacle, he instead takes the body upstairs to the bathroom.
Where is he? Oh, great.
It would have been easier to just dump him on the floor. Why the fuck would you lift him up and put him in a full bath?
What are we gonna do? I don't know.
Can you say forced? Without a doubt, they accidentally drop the hairdryer into the tub, charging the zombie's batteries, and like the Frankenstein monster, this is enough to bring him back to life. Now that we've had a good look at him, you might recognize the actor playing Bud as Jarrett Graham. I personally recognize him for his role as Beef in Phantom of the Paradise, where he sang a song about coming back from the dead.
Life at last, salutations from the other side. I can see that you're the devil's pride. Do you realize that all of you done had some horrible? You hated that was part of you. I'm your nightmares coming true. I am your crime.
Kevin is horrified, but Steve is excited at the opportunities that his discovery of necromancy will bring.
We could get an A in biology.
No, if you flunk all your tests, it doesn't matter how impressive your independent scientific projects are. They decide to stash him in the basement, where they were supposed to put him in the first place, and immediately leave him alone so they can get some burgers and discuss the body they stole right next to a police officer. Don't worry though, he's just an extra. While they eat, Bud gets hungry, but doesn't care much for what has been left out.
It's only broccoli, sweetheart.
Oh, I was wondering what it was.
And in case his voice sounds familiar, just to clarify, that is Jack Riley playing the role of Wade, whom is also the voice of Stu Pickles from Rugrats.
Mate.
There's meatloaf on your plate.
I know that.
Amazing she can't recognize that that isn't her husband's voice, or coming from his direction, and doesn't notice Bud stomping up the stairs. While chasing down the dog, he finds a picture of Katie in some rather odd swimwear, and... just when you think it can't get any weirder. Anyway, Katie shows up and they tell her the good news.
I don't think you should get involved.
Why not?
Because it could be dangerous, and because
I'm a girl? God, you guys really kill me.
Well, there's also the fact that you were several miles away at the time that they were accidentally waking the body up. I mean, I appreciate the spirit of equality, but you're really pushing it. But back with Bud, we finally get our first kill of the movie, completely off-screen.
Good dog.
Of course, this kind of kicks the whole cannibalistic thing in the balls. And there's the fact that the Chuds in the first movie never ate the dog.
Once the enzyme's introduced into the brain, and believe me, they like to get their teeth into gray matter, sort of like caviar.
Yeah, all those whole people that were eaten in the first one, never mind that at all. It's all brains that they're really interested in. For fuck's sake, can they make them any less interesting?
In a very real sense, Chudism is a disease that cannot be stopped. A plague, if you will.
Fucking zombie virus! Upon returning home, the teens realize that the zombie is gone, and their passing grade along with it. So they begin the search while Bud looks for more things to eat.
Here's your feast. Oh, my. What big feet you have.
Shouldn't you be screaming right about now?
What big thumbs you have.
Random intimidating stranger in the middle of the night.
Are you heterosexual?
C.H.U.D, promoting necrophilia years before Twilight.
Do you have a job?
Okay, that was kind of funny. But she is less than accepting of his poor oral hygiene. Again, off screen.
Jogger. Dinner time.
Wow, that took all of 2 seconds. Now, slightly more concerned with appealing to the opposite sex, Bud kills another man off screen and is rewarded with a suit and a theme song. It's not great, but I guess it's got a better ring to it than Bud the slightly pale, inexplicably intelligent zombie. But our heroes are hot on the trail, and...
We'll just continue the search in the morning, okay?
Wow. What determination. Come morning, we see that the zombies are enjoying this uncontested existence as the poodle uses its super C.H.U.D strength to finally get the mailman, and the peculiar zombie ninja powers to not be noticed by the neighbors, or the military whom just so happen to be rolling up looking for our teenage body snatchers.
And he's not in school. Now, if you see him, you just tell him from me that he's dead meat.
Well, isn't that a little harsh?
There are a couple of good jokes in this movie, if I'm to be honest, but the problem is they're buried under piles and piles of shitty jokes.
Where would you go if you were a dead guy?
I don't know, a Grateful Dead concert?
Like those gems. Although obvious zombies are walking around in front of them, they can't seem to find one and head back to recycled set number 2 for inspiration.
Got a Bronco, Bowser, a Boppo, and 2 babies.
Oh, and the zombies can drive too. Considering how intelligent they are, you'd think they'd settle for canned brains. But as the clerk of Bossy Burger finds out, they prefer fresher ingredients. Again, the slaughter goes on with our trio of nitwits completely oblivious to the world.
Nothing, I was just thinking about Proctor's class. He's gonna have us in detention for... No, he's gonna kill us for losing that body.
Well, I must admit, that would be a very efficient way to solve the problem. As the movie is half over already, they finally notice Bud sitting in the truck next to them and begin the pursuit.
No more woodsheds, huh?
Which they cut away from. You honestly thought this movie had the budget for a car chase? Besides, isn't it far more entertaining to watch Group B have a scene in recycled set number 2 directly after the last one?
Hey, what the hell's going on? Hey, what's the matter with you guys? Hey, I'll buy you a hamburger. What's the problem?
What the hell is that? C.H.U.D's always does a great job.
It only took one soldier going in there and being attacked before they realized, hey, this diner's full of dead people. I don't care how shitty the makeup is, you guys really suck at your job. But thank you for destroying the set. It's really good to know we won't be wasting any more film at the fucking burger joint. They forget about lunch and head to the country looking for more because they obviously wouldn't stick to high population areas for some reason.
Let it fly!
And they're completely resistant to explosions. Okay, what bullshit enzymes are you going to credit for that trait?
There's a truck.
Let's go reclaim our dead guy.
Or you could just ignore that little detail. The Colonel was right, however. The zombies did decide they needed to get some fresh air as they find Bud in the barn waiting. Or perhaps he was just going for a romantic Night of the Living Dead getaway for just the two of them. Oh, and his 20-some-odd zombie buddies, but he keeps them off her, and we learn that no, there is no such thing as logic in this movie, as a C.H.U.D chases after his own head. So how the fuck does a C.H.U.D-ified brain help them move around post-decapitation? Katie shows that evidently they can still feel pain, and Kevin knocks him down with convenient hay, allowing them all the chance to completely forget about catching him, but instead run like hell. Well, at least someone around here remembers what their job is. The zombies run away with ease, because it's not like surrounding the barn would have been a sound military strategy. Except for one who goes in for his close-up.
After them, men! Destroy all the chuds!
Holy cow.
What? No one's going to comment, "Oh, that was cool!" Rather, the Colonel is too busy apprehending the teenagers for the crime of being idiots.
Sir? Shut up, wise ass.
General,
Do you know what happens to pretty boys like you in prison?
Your Honest.
What is it?
Normal California weather?
He's forcing his body temperature up to melt the ice. This guy is fucking fantastic.
Wow, those are some impressive mutations. It's almost as if they do whatever the fuck is convenient for the scene. In his excitement over the poorly written abilities, Masters lets the one and only Chud they captured escape, but that doesn't stop him from giving a rousing speech.
These are chuds.
In what fucking sense of the word?
Very hungry people. With bad complexions. And a brain that doesn't know when to stop.
You just described me, you asshole! He goes on to order the troops to continue searching, as they stand around there letting the zombies that were there less than a minute ago get further and further away, but he does render their vehicle useless.
Can't have these things driving about town, can we?
Yeah, he just blew up a truck with one shot from a pistol. Fucking hacks.
Meat.
Yeah, that theme song? Does it have more than these 5 lines? Oh, wait, we've got to watch the most unprofessional attempt at an autopsy from Dr. Drunk on the Mailman, whom strangely has taken by far the longest of any of the victims to turn into a zombie. Again, off-screen. I know I keep making a big deal about that, but here's the problem. This is an R-rated movie! Why? The doctor, of course, zombifies immediately, and the two of them go out to serve up some more comedy.
Thanks, Christ. Last viewing.
More jokes, not funny. As the Colonel is concerned with the important part, grilling the teenagers, the zombie army has plenty of time to make it back to town and catch Robert Englund trick-or-treating. Wait a minute, trick-or-treating?
Trick-or-treating? Oh, Jesus Christ, I forgot all about Halloween.
Well, when the fuck in this movie did they bother to let us know it was Halloween?
Here today, I will... Where would you go if you were a dead guy?
Thanks, Christ. Last viewing.
Oh. I guess there is that. Kevin brings up the costume dance at the small town's disproportionately huge high school, and they realize that loud music and large groups will attract the zombies without question, and he must get there quick if they hope to stop them. Never mind the dance, they're right there.
We gotta get to the high school. You take the lead car, I'll get the men. Maybe not.
And Bud somehow ran around the building, inside and to the door. Impressive. The kids manage to escape in time, taking the van straight to the high school. Because they're trying to stop the chuds that are where they already were, and oh, the hell with it. But before you know it...
Buffet.
Okay, how the fuck did they get there so fast? Don't tell me it's another group. It's, again, being led by Bud. Is there more than one Bud? So yes, the zombies get to the party slightly before the teens, who circle around to the loading dock because Kevin has a plan.
We get this equipment near the gym. Yeah? We gotta isolate the chuds from the other kids. Why? We can stop them with this stuff. Sounds like a plan. It does?
Yeah.
It's a series of events meant to bring on a desired conclusion, so by definition. They run into their teacher, enjoying the finest of French cuisine, so naturally he must be a monster.
Stop on me.
Big surprise, electricity does nothing, but Kevin finally gets the sci-fi freeze ray to work and stops the zombie in his tracks.
Wait, you wanna try something?
Are you crazy?
What are you gonna do,
Come on.
Cal?
What are you...
Come
are you
on,
crazy?
get out of here. What
Just
are you
a
doing?
second. He always was the teacher's pet.
God.
Go, run!
And why the fuck did electricity suddenly cause them to blow up?
The introduction of electricity shorts out the supercharged brains. Once the body's in ice, it becomes a closed system. Then the contained electrical charge causes an implosion.
Freezing makes them a closed system? Then you wouldn't be able to introduce electricity! And didn't electricity bring them back to life in the first place? Motherfucker! All this time, the zombies are enjoying the party. Sort of. Somehow, dancing teenagers are just too slippery to catch for a meal. Nevertheless, the teens move to disarm this non-threat, but have to figure out how to lure the undead into the pool.
We need bait. My locker's right over here.
No, you can't do that. I'm gonna go myself.
If you were a Chud, who would you prefer for a meal?
Well, Kevin clearly is the brains of this operation. Katie dons the odd swimwear and gets their attention.
Zombies! Well, who wants a bite? Come and get it.
So if this works, they'll kill all the Chuds! And all the horny teenage boys that happen to be at this dance. As they've had more than enough time to prepare, the guys somehow fail to be waiting at the door for Katie, and didn't bother to loosen the valves on the liquid nitrogen either. Based on what we've seen so far, by the time Brian turns back to Kevin, he'll already have turned into a Chud. Come on now, do you expect this movie to actually be consistent? Instead, they finally get the chemicals into the pool, even chucking in several tanks that aren't loosened, and the whole thing turns into one giant ice cube, except for Bud, who was just slightly chilled. So he chases Katie up to the diving board while genius Kevin tries desperately to remember how electricity works, eventually realizing Katie's in trouble and still can't use a freeze ray properly.
Please. You're dust!
Now that's just cold. Brian tosses the wires into the pool, and we get our series of exploding zombies, and of course the rather brutally murdered horny high schoolers are in there somewhere, but never mind that. Happy ending! Kevin, now without his glasses, and therefore legitimate boyfriend material, hands Katie a note from Brian about how he's heading out to see the world. We cut to Brian hitchhiking and find out he's turned into sequel bait.
Suppose we drive until dark and stop somewhere for a bite to eat.
Let's not and roll the credits already. Fucking hell. It's only a mediocre song. After the 5th time, it gets a tad annoying. Well, that was C.H.U.D 2, and let's not think of it as a C.H.U.D movie. It's still not very good. It's not the worst movie ever now. Come on, just 2 weeks ago I had to watch Alien Origin, but it's certainly low quality, and coming off the original C.H.U.D, it feels worse than it actually is. But I'll try to express how I feel about this movie not as a sequel, but on its own merits. It's a horror comedy, and that combination can work as both rely on some elements of surprise, but unfortunately neither is done very well in this film. The horror is extremely lacking, with very few effective scares, as most deaths are preceded by a long build-up of jokes. This might be okay for the comedy if it weren't for the fact that the jokes aren't very good at all, and they never stop. Every line is supposed to be silly, and when the characters aren't showing their mouths, more jokes are dubbed in. It gets to the point where when a good joke does come up, I really didn't care anymore because of how much crap you have to sit through for it. And the makeup? Holy sweet fuck. Just taking this as a zombie flick it is, these have to be some of the least impressive undead put on film. Zombie Dearest's makeup looked more convincing. But, to be honest, there were a few things I did enjoy about this movie, mainly Jarrett Graham, who gives an entertaining enough performance physically, even if his voice was only studio chuddified in half the lines he was given, and Robert Vaughn's deliveries were solid enough he could even make the cheesy jokes work, to an extent. Overall, C.H.U.D 2 is a relatively poorly done zombie comedy, with a crap ton of terrible attempts at humor, but a few good jokes and some decent performances, barely scraping by with 2 stupid teenagers out of 5. I do understand the need for a Bud the Chud theme song. It's a movie from the 80s. They have theme songs. It's a rule. But it could have been a little more varied. It might take it some time longer before it gets unforgivably annoying. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado. And remember, the car won't help against zombies when they can fucking teleport.
Are you heterosexual?
What was that?